Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you to flight number 19. On this flight, I'd like to tell you we're not actually taking off from the ground today because we don't have subsidies coming to us. Instead, we are rerouting everybody to Amtrak. So if everybody could just file out the left, there's some really nice blow up slides that you can go down, and then a bus will take you over to Amtrak where all of your needs and wants will be paid for by the government in the latest stimulus package, infrastructure package. Thank you again for riding with Fire Talk Radio, and we will see you when we get to our destination. I forgot to put that live.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to.
Hey, for those of you watching live and then listening later, you'll notice there will be some editing there.
Right? You're smooth on that one. I'm sitting there like, I don't have headphones in, but I know I can still hear, and there was no sound, and I was like,
Well, so for those of
smooth.
you that are watching or listening, we use a company called Riverside.fm for our recordings and everything, and they have a uh, a media library where we load up our clips and our music and everything. And it has a preview and a live. Well, it defaults to preview, so I have to remember to put it to live so it actually goes out on air. And I forgot, so I'm playing it and I'm hearing it, and
Smooth.
I'm head banging along to it, and then it dawned on me that no one else was. I was by myself,
I,
which
I,
is
I
my
can't
life.
say that. I really would say that that's what she said because that's that kind of a moment. Um, Music brought to you by Psychostick. Great bunch of dudes. Check them out on Facebook. They've, well, I think they got some new songs coming out. From my understanding, they're on Spotify. But they also do like online concerts on Twitch and Facebook Live. You got to check them out. They are a bunch of fun people.
And
Um,
they're on iTunes and everything like that, so
yeah.
you can listen to all their stuff. They actually have a pretty kick-ass Christmas album.
Yes. Yes. I love. Never. It never fails. They've always come up, and it's all music that you know. It's just words are twisted. Um,
Yes. So,
I
but
really wish they would do a Mariah Carey rendition of "All I Want for Christmas."
oh, that would be. You got to tell them that. Tell them to
I
do
don't, I
that.
don't, I don't think they, I don't think anybody could touch that song. I think
If
Mariah
they could
Carey's
do
got
the
that
whole
song like,
album, the whole Mariah Carey, what is it, the Red album, or where she's like
God,
wearing the red Santa outfit from
yeah.
back then. Oh man, if they could do
I
that
don't, I
whole
don't think.
thing.
I think after that became the national worldly song for Christmas. I think Mariah Carey's probably made sure nobody can rendition that song at all.
And that was back during like the old Mariah Carey, like pre-slut days.
Oh, that was when she was with P Diddy.
No, that was before P Diddy.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
That-
that was when she was
was
still
it?
with Tommy Mottola and RCA.
Yeah, yeah. Good
Yeah, because
fucking
it was
god,
when
we're
she
old.
switched albums or switched like right around 2000-ish, that she switched and she came out, and all of a sudden she went from like this wholesome, like, you know, half opera singer, R&B star
And riding the
to,
horse.
yeah,
There, I'll remember that video as a prepubescent because that was my time. That was my growing of man time of watching her that video on MTV. And remember,
not
kids, us old people used to watch our music videos on
and-
television on a channel called MTV.
yeah, where they actually showed music videos at the time. It's
Dude,
kind
I
of like
would race
the
home right after
YouTube.
school, turn on TRL, and just
Oh,
hope.
but there wasn't like during the 90s, you know, and I was probably my son's age, like, you know, around 10 years old, give or take a couple of years, because it spanned a few years. I actually I remember when I was really young having a crush on Mariah Carey.
I don't think any guy at that timeline when she came out did not have a crush on her.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is all like pre-diva, pre-slut Mariah Carey.
Pre-Google.
Pre-Google. Yeah. Before you could actually look stuff up or see the stuff
Oh my
she actually
God.
how she
Pre-internet.
actually
Oh,
is.
roughly same time internet really was starting to spawn.
It was the time when everybody was getting mailed AOL CDs. Remember that?
Yes.
Like every
Yeah.
time you open the
Yeah.
mailbox, we had so many of those AOL. I think AOL CDs made up. I read somewhere that it made up like more than half of the CDs ever manufactured.
Yeah. No,
But
that's not wrong.
and there were so many, I would actually hang them in my room from the ceiling. So they were like giant, like a bunch of disco balls. And
Yeah. You and everybody else because they were free CDs.
yes, exactly. But they were always
Because
like,
your
you know,
parents didn't want to keep them. They were like, just throw it away. I was like, oh, no, I'll just string it up in my room.
but I remember when they first started coming, like get 1 hour free of, you know, America Online. Then it was like get 10 hours free. Then it was like
Yeah.
50 hours free.
Oh, get them. I had some, I believe, had like, here's 30 days free of internet.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah, but they
what?
just kept upping it.
Why not? Yes, this is back when you not only did you pay for internet, you had to pay for a subscription to get onto the internet.
Oh, and then somebody calls because it was through the phone lines. And if somebody calls while you were online, it booted you off if you had call waiting. And so it
You
booted
could,
you
I
off.
remember it was a star something that you can put in if you had call waiting to actually turn it off.
Yes.
I used to
And
have to do
then
that so many fucking times.
you put that in, and then you know, of course, we were adolescents, and the internet was new. So what were we doing? We were downloading porn. And by porn, what I mean is a incredibly low resolution photo that would take like 10 minutes to load.
Depending on if you had a 56K modem.
I don't think we did. I remember for the longest time in our house, we had a Windows 95 computer that I think came out in 1995.
Yeah, we had one too. It was by Compact. My parents, I think, spent almost $1,000 on this piece of shit computer. Back then, I mean,
Oh, it was
it played
great back-
played Doom and
Duke Nukem. Remember
mind
Duke
you,
Nukem?
oh god. Between Duke Nukem and Doom and Age of Empires.
Oh yeah.
And the original Warcraft
I never played
and
that.
StarCraft. Well, StarCraft and Warcraft back then were just like Age of Empires. You had a base, you built shit, and that's when you had LAN parties. I had a buddy of mine who had his parents. They worked for the government. They put a landline. They put a dedicated broadband line into their house, and that was next generation coming up for DSL. And it's like,
Oh, I remember. Yeah. A
it's
buddy
like,
of
holy
mine,
shit.
got one of the first DSL lines in our area, and the best thing about it was he could download MP3s from Napster
God, I fucking
and
hated that.
would burn us so many CDs, so many. But then it got even better because he also got he was like a young novice hacker because he wasn't really a hacker. He just like
Sure.
played around on these. But anyway, he then figured out how to get a mod chip for the PlayStation, how to solder in a mod chip so that he could
Yeah.
download PlayStation games and burn them
Yeah.
to CD because the original PlayStation used CDs.
Yeah. Yeah,
And he had
it was the first yeah, a lot of people did that when they figured out that there was so on the board, if I remember correctly, it was actually made to store actual games on the board. They just never put the chip on the board. So if you knew where the spot was on the board and could get a hold of the chip, you were fucking gold. You
oh,
literally
he made so much money selling that chip and soldering it on
oh yeah.
for us. And then, like I say, and then a new game had come out, and he would go on to, I don't know if it was I don't think it was Napster. I think it was like LimeWire or something at that point.
Yeah,
Like
there was
Kazaa
a
or
site
something.
you could ROM those games off of. Yeah.
Yes, and he would download and ROM them, and then sell us. Oh, he made so much money off of his
Oh yeah.
friends. He'd do that, and then he'd sell us the game for like $10.
Yeah, because I mean, to him, he's just making money because it was like $2 for the memory card that he would need to put on the ROM. Put the memory card in, memory card will transfer to your ROM chip, and then save it. It was very ingenious, but now look at us,
Yeah.
we're still fucking using CDs, and now they're finally using digital fucking platforms because that should have been a thing years ago.
No, do you remember the Sega Channel? Did you have that?
For
For
for on television?
yeah, for the Genesis?
No,
No?
no.
Oh,
I
dude,
don't think my parents paid for that channel,
we
and then the
had
legal cable box.
we had I think we only had it for a short time, but it was the Sega Channel. I don't even remember how it hooked up to our game station,
I
but
don't remember. I'll have to look at that now.
yeah, I'm gonna have to. Oh gosh, let me look up Sega
I
Channel
u- I
to
used to
remember
piss my
how that
parents
worked.
off. Well, back in the day, okay, Sega, because you broke up Sega. Sega had a contest for the fastest time for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I placed top 10. Um,
That's right.
because I used,
It was a cartridge that went into the
yeah.
Genesis. And the cartridge you
Oh yeah.
screwed in a splitter off of the cable
To allow you to
into it.
access the television. Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Sega channel. I was like, oh wait, cartridge. It was it was their own little television thing where they would promote new videos and shit like that.
Yeah.
I used to call. You remember the Sega hotline? You could call to get
I don't remember
cheats.
I don't remember the Sega hotline, but I remember the
It was on the back.
Nintendo
It was
one.
always on the back. You had the one for Nintendo, and then you had the one for you had Nintendo Power. You had a hotline for Nintendo for you could call for hints, tips, and tricks.
Yes. Yep.
Sega had one too for their magazine, and I called it. That's how not only did I figure out the codes in the because for Sonic 2 to do the cheats, you have to go into the sound little board and go to different numbers.
Yeah.
Well, that also taught you how to get the supersonic mode for Sonic the Hedgehog before you finished round 1, because each round had its own had 3 segments. By the time I was done with the first section of maps, I was already had all 7 emeralds for the supersonic. But that's how I got through that fucking map so quickly, and that's how I ended up getting the record. Thank you, Sega.
Nice.
You cheat on your game to put my name in history, but you can't find that anymore.
Um, but yeah, I never did that with Sega. I remember when I had Castlevania on the Nintendo,
Good Lord.
and I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but whichever one it was, I was stuck, and I think I had that game paused at one point for days at a time because I kept, you can't stop the game. So,
No.
um, and I ended up calling, and I think I called like 6 times. My parents were so pissed because it shows up on the phone bill.
It is a 1-800 number. That was the one great thing Nintendo did. It was a 1-800 number. But good
Um,
God, when you see your bill, it's like, what are all these 1-800 numbers?
yeah, my mom was so mad. And then it charged you by the minute, so they're
Yeah.
walking me through the game. And
Yeah, no,
oh,
I remember those. Good Lord.
I guess with that, I can't get too
I had
mad at when
I
my
had to mow
son.
grass like my whole neighborhood to pay back my parents for the additional debt on their phone. It was a GoFundMe, but I had to go mow everybody's grass.
Well, it's kind of like remember when you used to get them things in the mail for tapes? 10 cents and
God.
get 20 tapes. Well, I'm like
Oh, that was
12 years old. Of course
Columbia.
I filled
That was Columbia Music.
House. Yes. And I was like 12 years old. Of course I filled that out and I sent it
Dude,
into
I
them
had
with the
so
quarter.
many damn CDs.
Yeah, the problem is all of a sudden my parents got like a collections thing from them because I didn't know I had to keep paying. I didn't know I was subscribing.
Right?
Oh man, the really awful things people used to do back then to trick kids.
Yes. Yes.
But
But that was also when our parents kicked us out of the house most of the time and told us not to come back till the streetlights came on.
yeah, my dad had the whistle, so he would when it was time to come in, he could whistle really loud, putting his
Yeah,
fingers in it.
my
And
parents
he would,
couldn't whistle that loud for the type of area
and
the town that we were in. I mean
I lived out in the country. There were no street lights.
no, we had streetlights.
Um,
So, but I was always up at the tennis court playing street hockey, and I just found out they're putting an ice skating rink in by my house, about in the town that's close to my house, an outdoor rink. I was like, "Fuck yes!" I said, "I can take everybody and teach them how to ice skate." I was like, "Only bad thing is they don't do skate rentals, so I have to go buy them." And I'm like, "Fuck."
oh,
I was like,
reminiscing.
I
Gotta.
don't.
No, there was. I will admit there was a downside back then, which I think is making us as parents a lot more careful. I hope anybody that's listening to this, you better be more careful with your kids online because we didn't have social networks. What we had
So-
were AOL chat rooms,
Oh my god. ASL.
and oh my
Oh,
god,
you know,
the creepy dudes on there that I'm sure pretended to be girls that I was talking to.
oh good
But I'm
lord.
sure they were creepy dudes and asking me to send them pictures and
Yeah, that was when you had a big bulky webcam too.
oh
If
yeah,
you
that
had
thing was
one.
huge. It
Well, I mean, on top of the big giant bulky ass monitor.
I was gonna say the monitor that gave you an aneurysm trying to lift it, the CRT monitor, and then you
Oh.
had this big ball on top pointed at you that was like a third of a megapixel,
Oh my god.
and they wanted me
And it was only
send a
for
picture.
pictures. It was only
Yeah.
for pictures. There's no video concept in that whatsoever.
Yeah, so it's like send pictures of yourself, and I'm like, well, you send first, and they send me a picture of. Let's just I'm not going to incriminate myself, but I was young, and let's just say they were my age, and So I'm like, okay, I send a picture of my face, and they're like, well, what else? And I'm like,
They want your man boobies.
that's what it was. And thankfully, nothing saved back then. Like it was all in these private chats and stuff. But yeah, now my
That is,
son,
that is the one thing I've realized. We grew up in the generation where there is no witnesses, no evidence of the
thankfully,
stupid we did.
thankfully, yes,
I tell my kid all the time, I said, be thankful that, I mean, the stuff that you're able to do, because the stuff I did, I'm surprised I'm still alive. Darwin should have walked me off a cliff when I was younger.
you
Because
know.
it's like,
And,
you were stupid. Let's go.
but the thing is like back then. We would in high school, we'd go out and party, and we'd get so shit faced. But nobody had like camera phones. The
Yeah.
best somebody had was like a disposable camera.
Mm,
So
I actually, man, when I was in high school, my junior year, my parents went through a shitty fucking divorce. My dad wanted to buy his love because my dad's an asshole like that. So I was the only kid in school with a cell phone.
oh, I
I
had a
remember that
cell
thing.
phone, but it didn't take pictures. It made phone calls.
No, it did. This was a Bell Atlantic phone. It was a flip phone. It had a camera on it. It was a fucking small ass camera on the screen, but it took a picture.
Oh, when I was in high school, my parents said if you want a cell phone, you have to get one of them prepaid cell phones.
Yeah.
So mine it wasn't like the Zach Morris, but I mean it was fairly
Did you
big.
get the old Nokia? The
Yeah.
Nokia like bullet that you could actually take and like peg someone in the back of the head with it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
That one.
me too. Had
And
one of
then
those.
and then like $50 gave you like 50 or 100 minutes. And
Yeah. My friends all talked. We all talked after 9 o'clock.
yes, because
That
it
was
was
the
free
rule.
after that. Yep.
Free after 9 o'clock.
And any time before that,
Then
like you better talk to me, like put everything in one sentence.
yeah. Or I mean, when Sprint first was coming up in the area, they changed from free at 9 to free at 7. So everyone switched to Sprint. Oh, I'll take a fucking phone call at 7 o'clock,
No, for
regardless
me,
of who it is. 9 o'clock, it was like, is this actually fucking important to call me at 9 o'clock at night?
it was we got Nextels. So to make the phone
Chirp,
call,
chirp.
yeah, on the see with the Nextel on the phone call, it costs money, but to chirp them,
It
the
was free.
walkie-talkie feature was free. So we were chirping people all the time. Diddle-it, diddle-it.
Oh, I used to fuck with my friends that had that. I would do the chirp. I was like, I would know they're with a group of people because he wouldn't pick up the phone. It's like, oh, he's with a bunch of people. Hey, you're a fag, and I would chirp it through, and he gets so mad.
I would do that to my sister and my brother, and when they're with a group of people, and I'd say something like, to my sister, be like, "Hey, it's me from last night. I just got my test back. You really need to go down and get tested."
Oh man,
So, but
see, I have a
but
sibling.
again, none of them had cameras on them, so there
Yeah,
was no evidence of
that is
what
that
happened.
is the greatest thing.
Now
Evidence.
I'm seeing my wrestlers get in trouble at school, get in trouble with the law because they're at a party and they're all taking videos of people doing keg stands. I'm like, you realize you guys are taking evidence. Like what
Yeah,
you're doing is called evidence.
yeah, because if that gets in the possession of somebody that needs that piece of evidence and it's gonna throw you up ship creek without a paddle, that's it. Speaking of
I
evidence,
had
since we're getting into this, Kyle Rittenhouse,
oh god,
his trial.
this
Hey, did you know
prosecutor.
the FBI had a drone flying over that fucking thing?
I've come to the conclusion the FBI has drones over everybody now.
Did you know the prosecution was like, this is not necessary. We don't need this film. But if a film can exonerate Kyle Rittenhouse, why would you not use it?
So the whole prosecution's stance is that Rittenhouse started everything with Rosenbaum, which is the catalyst
It
for
was all,
everything
he
else afterwards.
instigated the whole situation.
He instigated the whole situation in that Rosenbaum was down on the ground and Rittenhouse shot him in the back. Then they called their witnesses and this drone footage, which is completely to the defense's favor.
Yeah. Well, no, what was great is when it was brought up, the judge said, because the prosecution was trying to make sure it never even saw the light of day. Well, the judge goes, wait, there's a video? Because you know damn well if this was the other way around, you're going to be wanting that video. The defense doesn't. Now that the defense wants it, you don't want the video?
Right. But the prosecution, we're still in the prosecution's part of the trial.
Yeah.
They're still the ones calling up the evidence and the witnesses, and they are shooting themselves every which way. If he gets convicted, it's completely political. There is nothing there to convict him.
I saw CNN. No, not CNN. I was fucking watching something. I was watching a video. It was on Daily Mail, where they had a video with the judge talking. He fucking ripped CNN apart and the political base because he said, looking at the video, this was completely justified. This shouldn't be going on. We're here for basically, this is a witch hunt that you all lost.
That's exactly what this is. You know that if
and the prosecution wants to continue.
Yeah.
That's what's stupid. The prosecution knows they've lost this. As soon as that FBI video came out proving the complete defense was in right.
Well, it's not even just that. That's so the video itself and here, let me find. I'll play it live for us.
Doing it live.
Doing it live. I'm not going to download it. I'm just going to screen share it. So the video itself, though, there it is. Okay. So let me screen share this. Okay. So here's the video. And what you're looking at over in the lower right is Rittenhouse and Rosenbaum. All right. So Rittenhouse is there. You see them down in the lower right corner. Oh, of course they have to.
Yeah, they got to fade back to Rittenhouse. He's done it. He's done very smart during this whole trial. He has sat there. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He's not showing anything.
Okay. So here's Rittenhouse in the square. He is literally running away. There's Rosenbaum going after him.
He's yelling friendly this whole time, by the way. When he's running into the crowd, he's yelling friendly the whole time.
Yes. So that's the video right there. That's just a portion of it, by the way. So he's running away. First off, you have them saying, well, Rittenhouse said something to Rosenbaum to make him chase after him. They called a witness that was standing next to Rittenhouse. Kyle didn't say anything to Rosenbaum whatsoever. He said it was his friend that was talking to Rosenbaum, and then the other guy that was standing there, that was the witness, says, and Rosenbaum said, if I see you guys alone, I'm going to fucking kill you. And the prosecution goes, he said that to you, correct? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, he didn't say that to Kyle. And the guy goes, well, Kyle was standing right with me, so yes, he did.
Yeah.
So there's one witness. And then another one was the guy from the Daily, not Daily Beast, not Daily Mail, the guy that took the main video that everyone saw. But
Yeah.
he was running right along. He was like 15 feet from where it happened. He actually had to jump out of the way when Kyle turned around because he knew that Kyle turned around. He said that Rosenbaum reached out and was lunging at Kyle. And the prosecution goes, "You mean he tripped? He fell?" And Kyle Schonman goes, "No." He said, "No, he lunged at him and grabbed the front of the barrel." And the prosecution goes, "Well, you didn't say that before in your other interviews." He goes, and he played another interview. He goes, "See, it's the same thing. He went to Kyle. He
Yep.
fell towards Kyle. He lunged. It's the same thing." He goes, then you have the prosecution going, "Well, you don't know what he was thinking." And he goes, "Well, when he lunged at him, he yelled, 'Fuck you.'" Like literally everything is pointing towards
To an
self-defense.
Yeah.
Everything.
This is going to be an acquittal. They're gonna be like, "Yep, sorry about this. Have a nice day," kind of thing. It's sad that Kyle's got to go through this. It's sad that if this didn't happen during the BLM riot and the burning of Minnesota, I will say it burning the Minnesota because most of that fucking went up in flames.
Right. This was in Kenosha,
Well,
Wisconsin.
Or Wisconsin, yeah. Well, I mean, they were
Kenosha.
around the same time. Yeah.
But
You're right. My
this
bad.
happened. Yeah,
Wrong-
this
wrong
happened in
state.
Kenosha. No, I
Yeah.
mean, but what you're talking about is the summer of BLM riots.
Yeah.
And so this happened in Kenosha. You know, everyone saying, "Well, he crossed." I'm still seeing people on TikTok saying he crossed state lines with a gun. No, he didn't.
No.
Every
He was-
report, the police report, even the witness, his friend said, "I bought the gun with Kyle's money. It was at my house. My dad had it locked up. He unlocked it. Kyle took the gun from my house."
Yeah.
In Kenosha. It never left
So-
the state.
Yeah, no. So the gun never stayed. And what's great is the defense is throwing up the law. The law in Wisconsin all goes to 16 years old and or 18 and older. Nothing says 17 in their law. 17 is a weird, non-existent fucking age in their law.
Right. Well, so one of the laws that I know the defense is going to be resting the fact that he had the firearm on says that if you're under 18, if you're 16 to 18, without having a parent or guardian with you, it's the same. It's similar in Michigan anyway. You can have a rifle.
Yeah.
You can
He had the
carry a
barrel
rifle
he had the barrel
as long
length
as
that
the
was
barrel
legal.
is as long as the barrel is 16 inches long or longer, and the overall is 23 inches or longer. The barrel of his rifle is 16 inches, and the overall is like 27 inches or something like that. I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah.
But both are legal. Now, I know that a lot of people are going to say, "Well, that's a hunting law, not a, was he out there hunting? He didn't have a hunting license. He didn't." Well, that's interpretation. That's what the court is for, is the interpretation of this law. But the law specifically states if you're under 18, you just cannot have a shotgun or a short-barreled rifle, which is a really weird law with the shotgun part, because even
It's
in
Wisconsin.
Michigan, even in Michigan, you can you can't hunt deer with a shotgun, but you can small game hunt with a shotgun by yourself at 12 years old.
Pennsylvania,
So,
I think it's the same thing. I think it's like 12 to 14. You can start with a shotgun. I have to look. I just found out I can't own a gun, but that's just neither here nor there. But
yeah, but anyway, it's one of those where, even if he gets convicted of the gun, which is a misdemeanor,
that's
I think it's a Class C misdemeanor, that should still have no bearing on the self-defense, because you don't give up your right to self-defense just because you're committing a misdemeanor. if
Yeah.
you're committing a felony and you're in the process of committing a felony, like you're breaking and entering with a firearm, or you're using that and a person lunges at you, then it's not self-defense because you're in the felony at the time. But if, say, like you just said, you can't own a firearm. Say you owned a firearm, someone breaks into your house and you defend your family with it. You owning the firearm, you can still be convicted on that, but you still have the defense. You're still allowed self-defense.
Yep.
The other law does not preclude you from being able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So I've been following this. I've been watching it every day.
It's been nuts.
Streaming. It's been streaming every day. I've been watching it. They brought on, oh my God, it wasn't even the owner of the car lot that he was supposedly protecting. It was like the owner's son who
Yeah.
does inventory. Did you see that?
I saw that.
He had him up there
was
for,
kind
like-
of all over the place with
He was
his.
all over the place. He couldn't remember jack shit. You know, how much
was like, great.
inventory did you lose? I don't know. Well, it's inventory. You don't know how much. No, I don't have the figures. I don't have. Was it more than $100,000 worth? Yes. Was it more than $1 million? I don't know. Well, it says you said in a interview right here that it was 2-point-some million dollars. I don't. Or I can't remember at this time. Everything that he
the
said, I
prosecutor
can't remember
brought
at
that
this
in.
time.
That was the prosecutor's witness, right? Yeah, because they were
Yeah.
trying to do something with it, which made absolutely no sense. And
Basically, they were trying to make it out that he didn't hire Rittenhouse, that Kyle
Yeah.
was just there. But upon cross-examination, the guy can't remember anything from more than a minute ago. Anything.
Yeah.
Even facts and figures stuff. Like literally, he couldn't remember giving an interview to the newspaper. Did you give this interview to the newspaper? I can't
No.
remember at this time. I don't recollect. You don't recollect that you gave an interview?
I think he was high. He looked high, but that's just my prelude to that.
Right. It was crazy. And this whole thing, like I say, I'm watching it closely. We haven't even gotten to the defense part of it yet. So
I have a feeling there's not going to be much more for the prosecution. Prosecution can't be. I don't even know what they would have. They were forced to show that video for the FBI, and that fucking sunk them. I'm sorry. The fact that they were trying to hide the FBI was in Kenosha with flying drones and a video,
yeah.
and they were
know-
trying to hide it.
Well, and then they were trying to say, when he was walking up to the police officer, they had the police officer that he was walking up to that told him to get out of the way. And he had his hands up and they showed the video. And then they asked him, so it didn't look like to you that he was surrendering himself. And he goes, well, when people surrender themselves, they normally walk up and they get down on the ground. No, they don't. People don't walk up and get on the ground. They walk up and then you tell them to get on the ground. They don't just walk up and automatically lay down. Oh my God. It is a complete shit show.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's no better. I forgot I wanted to talk about this. The Steele dossier that was used to convict Trump of Russia collusion. The
Yeah.
guy
Oh,
who
yeah.
made
This has been a bad week for Democrats.
Oh my God. Was arrested on Thursday or Friday last week.
Yeah. Thursday, I think it
And
was.
they were able to link him to the Clinton Foundation, where his money came from.
It came from his money came from
It didn't
a
come-
lawyer that is
attached to
representing
the Clinton Foundation.
attached to Clinton Foundation and to the Clinton campaign.
Yeah, so that was technically by election laws at that still in that time, election funding in that sense is illegal.
And he
If they can prove it.
And he finally admitted that he made everything up. Carter Page, that was investigating this for the FBI, knew that all of this was made up. They still got the FISA warrants. They like this whole idea that the Democrats can't let go of this because they're still saying that there was Russia collusion with Trump. Was all
because that means what they said that means Trump won legitimately in 2016, but there also could be an issue with the 2020 election, which we all fucking know is true, but there's nothing we can do anymore about it because no one's going to do anything. My hope is we all had elections recently for governor, for senators, for House of Reps.
You guys just got a bunch of Republicans in.
Oh, good Lord.
In
Tom Wolf is probably fucking pissed off. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and two of the justices flipped.
Yeah, that's just what's Pennsylvania is probably going to go fucking red, like Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia went. So Virginia, deep blue state, deep blue, went like 20 points or 15 points for Biden last year. 1 year later, they went the majority in the House they don't call them House and they're delegates. They went for the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the attorney general are Republicans.
It was fucking amazing. There was a tweet that has been deleted since then. This lady got fucking massacred on Twitter when she wrote that blacks shouldn't go to vote because they don't know what's best for them, and that we should do it for them because they don't know.
Yeah, if they're not smart enough to vote
something like that.
Something like that.
Was like,
yeah, then they shouldn't vote at all.
I was like, wow, way to keep the racism alive.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing everyone keeps forgetting. Our racism that's in our country was all democratic.
Yeah.
You have the Dixiecrats of the South, and then you have the Republicans of the North. The only reason why people think parties flipped is because the Republicans in the North made all their fucking money and bought all their shit up in the South. They only moved. That was it. They moved.
Yep. They moved up north. Yeah.
And all.
Well, some of the bigger ones that hilarious. New Jersey. The New Jersey governor won, but he just barely won. Like it had to go into.
Oh no, that was stolen. Because there was a county that was 100% for the Republican, 100% counted at 9 o'clock, but yet, 4 a.m. it went to the Democratic. I was like,
yeah,
they stole it.
But
everybody called it out. Everybody called it out. I wasn't the only one that didn't catch it. I was like, I'm losing it.
But here's the
best
part of
weird.
New Jersey. Do you know who Ed Durr is?
No. No, off the top of my head.
Ed Durr is a truck driver in New Jersey who just beat out the longest running state senator. And he did it for $150, most of which was spent at Dunkin' Donuts buying donuts.
Nice.
He spent $150 on his campaign, didn't have a website, didn't have anything. unseated the Senate president in New Jersey.
All right, so this is when they say your vote matters. It truly does. Nothing's gonna change with the swamp unless you unseat the members of the swamp. Pelosi's already announced that she is done. So I don't think she's going to be running anymore because she's fucking too caught up in getting almost caught on every little stupid thing that she's doing. AOC is going after Schumer's seat,
Yep.
which I think is hilarious in its own. You see the infighting is getting real in. Mitch McConnell needs to get his fucking ass out of there. Jason knows this. I'm right from the DC area. I see politicians. The swamp is a real thing. You have those full-time political members of Congress that have been bought and sold so many times they don't even know who their own owner is.
And it's not just them, it's the bureaucrats too that are in Washington that are not elected. They're appointed.
The bureaucracy of the government is this is a Futurama quote, and I've said this all my life. Bureaucracy loves its paperwork. Because that is the one thing about bureaucratic people is there's a paper trail. There's always going to be a paper trail. They've just proven with this vote that if this will be the last thing, if they can't get the second part of the bill passed, Biden will never get another thing passed going into 2022. The new Congress will be put in place. He'll never get anything passed. My theory, and that I honestly think Trump may not run. I think they're going to get DeSantis from Florida.
I would love to have DeSantis.
DeSantis has started unloading trailers that have been sitting, or tankers that have been sitting off the coast of California in Florida. He's worked with the unions to get them unloaded in a reasonable amount of time. And then on Friday the mandate went into effect. Did you hear about what happened with Gavin Newsom about that mandate?
I know that
the trucker
banned
union
from
paid them like $185 million or something to his re-election campaign to be out of the mandate requirements.
To be exempt?
Yep. And he gave the exemption to him. I was like, wow. You can be bought. We got your number.
Yeah, of course they can.
You got your number.
So, but the thing is with Newsom, it's California, and as they proved during the recall, they're not going to do anything. I don't think California is going to change.
Pelosi's not going to let his nephew get recalled on his first year in. You really think that? That's funny.
So,
it's just sad.
And that's the thing you're talking about. Think of the people that have come besides Newsom from California that we're talking about right now. We have Miss on her knees Kamala Harris. You have Pelosi. You have I don't know. Those are the only two. I'm drawing
Arnold
blanks
Schwarzenegger.
now. Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's the sort of kind of Republican.
He tried to marry into the Kennedys with his ex-wife.
Schreiber.
That's a family. I don't think they would keep him too long. But
you know,
he's really changed his his thought on life with that comment he made.
It he's no longer like pretending to be a Republican. He stopped cosplaying is what it is.
Yeah, he stopped it. He just gave up. And I was like, yeah, you just fucking sunk yourself. And then
Yeah.
someone posted, because I completely forgot, when he ran for governor, someone found the article of his dad, who was a Nazi. I was like, oh, yeah, you don't know? Go find it out. Go Google it. Arnold Schwarzenegger's dad was a Nazi. True story.
So, I mean, you have all that. So much has come out. Oh, this isn't on our list, but we had another Fauci lying to Congress again. Did you see that?
Rand Paul is going to fucking come over that table eventually and punch him.
Yeah, I mean, so now his reasoning of that he didn't fund gain of function research, which there is now a paper trail that they did, is because he changed the definition of gain of function. So we're going to change
the actual definition to it.
You figured out that we were funding gain of function, so we'll just change the definition of gain of function within the last like couple months.
Yep.
And now I can say that we didn't fund gain of function. He created this virus.
Oh yeah.
I am convinced. I'm convinced Fauci created this virus.
The NIH fucking threw him under a bus. Said, yeah, we this is what we were doing, and he knew all about it. Yada yada yada. I'm like, NIH just turned their back on Dr. Fauci.
Can we even call him a doctor anymore? He's a politician.
Unfortunately,
now.
He does still. The Department of Education has not yanked his degrees away yet. I'm hoping when I say yet, I mean I really, really hope this happens. If his degrees get yanked, then he's not considered a doctor anymore. That's the only way that could happen. Or a NIH's board can probably take his doctor name away. But unfortunately, right now, he is still a doctor.
They're not going to do that. They just started pushing, giving the poke, the Fauci ouchie, as Michael Knowles likes to say, the Fauci ouchie to kids, to 5-year-olds. And
my wife and I had that conversation.
What's scary is
live in Pennsylvania, and she goes. I looked at her straight in the face. I said, "My kids go to school." They said, "Oh, you can't come unless you get them vaccinated." I said, "My kids will be on homeschooled. I will not."
Well, I'm seeing here in Michigan letters going out to the school. We pulled our son. Our son's not in school right now. He's homeschooled. But I'm seeing letters going out to parents from different school districts around Michigan saying that they're bringing in nurses to vaccinate the children. And it's a implied consent if you send your kid to school that day and don't actively say you don't want it.
My son will actively tell them to go fuck themselves. I've told my son, I said, if you want to swear at them, because I'm his father, go for it. I will not hold. I will not. If they used to call me, your son swore at a teacher, blah blah blah. And I said, why? Well, he said no, and then she kept going. He had every right to tell her to go fuck herself.
Yep.
And
but I mean, they're doing this, and then I have friends on Facebook that the day after they approved it, and for children, she took her 3 children to get their vaccine. Again, get the Fauci.
I don't know how
we don't know what the long-term effects are. We're now figuring out what some of the short-term effects are.
Yeah, my thing is that it's not technically a vaccine. Google's definition of a vaccine is you take it to develop antibodies for a cure for said issue. CDC states this shot just lessens said symptoms. It's a gene therapy. It's a flu
prophylactic.
shot.
It's a prophylactic.
That's what it is.
But the thing is, I was mentioning this before. I'm convinced that my uncle is going to die because of this shot. I'm convinced that. So I think I mentioned before my uncle got diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer. And talking to him and my mom and the people surrounding this, he just went down and got another round of chemo. He got his yearly physical done before he got the shot back in like March, I think it was, like within a couple of weeks before. And, they take your blood and they check for all of these markers for cancer and stuff like that. He had no markers, or he was normal range, nothing, no problems. He got the shot within a month of his second dose, which was like the middle to the end of April. Started feeling sick. He started having problems walking. He got to a point where he was so in so much pain that he couldn't stand up. He couldn't walk. When he went down to Ann Arbor for treatment, they had to push him with in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk to his treatment. His markers at that point, and we're talking just a couple months, skyrocketed to all of a sudden he has stage 4 cancer. How do you go from nothing to stage 4?
I don't know.
So you have nothing, you get the shot, he has stage 4 cancer. Then you have down the doctor, because he was told originally where we live by the oncologist that he had pancreatic cancer, and they were going to give him a couple months they were going to give him basically stuff to keep as much as possible. Drugs, pain drugs. He went down there, he talked to them. That oncologist said, well, it could be, or it could be something else. It could be your prostate. Let me give you hormone treatment. They gave him hormone treatment. Within weeks, he was feeling a lot better. He could walk around. He wasn't in pain. He went down. He still had the cancer. And the doctor said, okay, since we're giving you chemo, I have to ask you, because you're a candidate, do you want the booster? Knowing everything that has been going on. My uncle said, no, I don't want the booster. Mind you, this is a guy that is very liberal, very believes in Fauci and all that, no longer does. Said, no, I don't want the booster. First, my mom was sitting right there. She said, the doctor straight up looked at him and said, thank God, because I wasn't allowed to tell you not to get it.
When I went to go try to get an exemption because I'm allergic to the flu shot. Yeah, I'm allergic to the flu shot. Fuck you all. I don't get it. I'm allergic to it because it ends up triggering a bronchitis infection in my lungs.
Bronchial infection.
I have liquid that never leaves, unfortunately. And it makes me worse. So I was trying to be like, hey, well, I'm allergic to the flu shot. This should get me exempted from the COVID shot because my work is requiring it because we get government money, unfortunately. And I work from home, so I don't understand why.
Which is strange because that's one of the exemptions in the mandate is if you work from home, you don't have to. Your company doesn't have to make you. I would bring that up.
I'll have to find that. Yeah, I'll have to find that article and challenge it because if we work from home, then we shouldn't have to get it. But I'm getting it Thursday. So if I don't make it next week, because I'm dead, um, I've already told my wife to ash my body because I don't want to come back to life. Um, for all those that think that's a joke, it's not. I tend to die and come back to life every so often. It fucking hurts like hell. But wow, wait, fucking that was a little bit morbid. Let's get into some shit. So I saw this story on a few sites about a giant fucking potato in New Zealand. Did you see this?
I did. I saw your you put it in the
I did. It looks morbid as hell though. Like someone actually literally took a picture of the giant potato. The
well, the
potato
picture
of the
that I'm
size of a
looking at,
small dog.
it's yeah, it's a big giant potato, but then they make it look like it's even bigger because it's on a Tonka truck.
Yeah, that's a little bit morbid. But
um I mean, but then you go down and you see, and it's, I mean, it's basically like the person holding it looks like they're holding, like, a deformed chimpanzee or something like that.
yeah, something like that. I mean, it's just why it looks like a
It's
bunch
about
of
the size of
potatoes
a
kind of just
baby.
merged together. That's what it
Yeah,
looks
it's like,
like.
and it looks like it does. It looks like multiple potatoes kind of merged together. It weighs in at just
Oh,
under 5 kilograms, so 2.2 pounds per kilogram, so about 12 pounds to 11 pounds.
all right.
It is the
Well,
size of
that
a
was fun
baby.
and exciting. We're going to talk about what happened this week or last week that they snuck to everybody in the middle of the night of the signing of the House bill for Biden's infrastructure plan. That's like what
Which
one point some
can you
trillion.
really call it infrastructure when only 5% actually goes towards infrastructure projects?
My wife said I went a little too far about calling us new age Nazis in America now. I said, no, I did not. Um, this was actually a giant Democratic wish list.
Just like every omnibus bill that they pass.
And they keep saying bipartisan. I want to say this is not a bipartisan bill. Yes, 13 Republicans voted yes out of the 200 and some.
So hold on. So doing that math, that's like 5%.
Yes.
Can you really call it bipartisan when you only have 5%? There's 20% of people that still believe we didn't land on the moon.
Yeah, right. Oh no, I mean, and a third of those people think the Earth is flat.
Right.
I love messing with flat earthers. I really do, because they're dumb. The fact that people think that the Earth is flat is dumb. Um, but
I still never
this
understood, though,
bill,
before we get into that, flat
yeah,
earthers, they believe that it's flat and that there is like a ice caps all around us that keep the water in.
yes,
Is that how it works?
yes.
Well, how come we never went to the ice caps and tried to go over them? We never
I don't know
explored
if
the
we
ice
have. I think
caps.
we already have. I just don't think they believe it.
Like if all the oceans and everything is held in by ice caps surrounding the earth,
My thing
then
is, if it's flat, what's on the other side? Are we like Mercury, where Mercury is one side melting hot lava, and the other side is like cold, desolate wasteland?
maybe. But then
Who knows?
it wouldn't be flat. We would just be on the flat side of it.
Correct. I don't understand these people. There's a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot more dumb coming out of this new generation that's coming into adulthood, and it makes me want to hit my punching bag.
Okay. So anyway, but no, this really is false advertising. Even the Heritage Foundation said so when they looked at the bill. Less than 5% goes towards traditional infrastructure projects. They say that it's 1.9 trillion, but
Something like that. It's they lessen the dollar amount, but it's still up there where it makes absolutely no sense to it.
the spending that they have in there over that's supposed to be over 10 years will more than quadruple what they actually say it is.
I'm surprised that Biden. Did you see what Biden? He got snippy with a reporter about the immigrants and giving them money.
Yes.
I went,
This is, mind you, this is just days after he said we're not giving them money.
yeah, hey, I'm gonna leave all my shit here in a block box hidden, and I'm gonna go jump the border, and then I'm gonna come back over and get the
Yeah.
money. My wife looked at me. She was, "Let's do it. I'll do it with you." All right.
You know, the thing is with that is the whole reason that people were separated is because of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals making the Flores settlement in the 90s saying you cannot house detainees with children.
Yep.
That's a Democrat court that said they couldn't do that.
Yeah. That's all started with Clinton.
Yeah, Flores was during the 90s with Clinton. So
It's fucking. And then now, what? I'm looking. All right, so I'm looking at the bill. I'm looking just right on the first fucking subtitle. You got national relief, highway, railway, safe routes, high use tax evasion projects.
that's the we're going to look into your bank
Mileage.
accounts.
Yes.
Look at your mileage and look into your bank accounts. And then the other one is 174 billion to subsidize electric vehicles and 160 or I think it's more than that now. But billions of dollars given to Amtrak. Amtrak's already heavily subsidized. Like
What's it say?
Amtrak cannot survive on its own. It is
My
a
thing
government
is
railway.
Yeah. With the electric vehicles, everyone needs to look up how lithium is mined. It's strip mined out of cobalt. It's worse for the environment to mine lithium than it is to pipeline oil to a refinery.
It's worse than shale.
It's fucking terrible. We talk about wanting to save our planet, but yes, we want electrical vehicles. But
Or
those
it's worse than
those
fracking.
batteries are
That's what I meant to
unstable
say.
too. Have you seen a video of a Tesla exploding because of a bad battery?
No, but I've seen the pressure that can build up from lithium batteries on smaller scales. So I can
Fucking
imagine
nuts.
on a big scale.
You know, it's
I mean, don't get me wrong. When it comes to battery technology, lithium is the best we have, and it's the lithium
I'm not saying
technology
it
is
isn't.
amazing.
I'm
But-
not saying it isn't whatsoever. I'm saying everyone talks about because the part of this infrastructure bill is $500 billion goes to the Green New Deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't
And-
want the Green New Deal. Nobody wanted it.
No. Well, that's just no
They
different than what they
snuck
did
it
with
in
the
here.
COVID bill this past March. More than half of it went towards blue states paying back blue states, getting them out of the red and getting them union contracts and everything like that. It's all Democrat.
Speaking of union contracts, did you see as of the 15th, Kaiser Permanente, the whole West Coast and Hawaii is
Yes.
officially on strike.
Yes.
That was nuts. 15,000 plus people. They're not going to know what the fuck to do.
So, but getting back
Nuts.
to this, okay. So, I need to look up what one of the things is, but okay. So one of the things is putting charging stations all across the U.S. so people can travel cross country in their electric vehicles. 7.5 billion for electric vehicle charging stations. Here's the thing. Electric vehicles, fine if you're staying fairly close to home, because you get about, at our current technology, about 250 miles to the charge.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I just bought a used Pilot, a 2008. I did the math. I get a little over 300 miles to the tank. I can stop at a gas station, fill up my tank, and be out of the gas station in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It takes you, at a minimum, if you do the quick charge, which only gets you to 80%, not a full battery charge, it takes you 40 minutes to do the quick charge.
Yeah, that's a waste of a day. I swear to God. It's like, oh yeah, I'll be there, but I gotta charge my car. How long you'll be there? I was like, I'll be an hour.
Every 200 miles, you have to charge your car, and it takes you 40 minutes. You can't travel cross country like that. It'll take you a week and a half to travel cross country like that. So,
Yeah.
and let's see, electric vehicles. Oh, $65 million or billion dollars, $65 billion to improve internet service to rural and low income and tribal communities. So we already know that the free market works best when it's free. That's why we're able to talk to each other over the internet right now and record this podcast. Remember recording a podcast 10 years ago? It didn't sound this good. You had to do these double enders where we could talk to each other, but we had to record it on our own computer and then use Dropbox.
Or you had to be in
else.
the same room.
Or we had to be in the same room. And the reason that we can do this is because the internet companies want to make themselves faster anyway. Rural areas, the reason that they don't send out high-speed internet to rural areas, there's no money in it.
No.
So literally, the government right now is wasting money to do something that doesn't need to be done. If you have an area that has two houses,
Elon Musk came out with some really good technology if you pay for it, which was satellite. Satellite normally sucks. And
on the upload.
It takes too damn long.
Yeah.
But Starlink, doing the research on that, has advanced to where I would think about it.
It's not quite as stable as DSL or cable or fiber. DSL isn't as stable as fiber or cable, but the thing is people have options, because there's also the option, if you want, there's 5G, there's wireless internet over the cell towers
Yep.
that reach most anywhere in the United States, you know. So there's always options. The thing that the government needs to do is, instead of spending money, they need to loosen regulation and stop with the local monopolies. Because that's what cable and DSL and all of that is local monopolies. You have the choice. I have the choice where I'm at of, I have Charter Spectrum, which I have, and then I have another one, DSL line that isn't even close to the speed, because they don't have the they're not able to put up their own lines because there is a monopoly on the poles. So they can't put up their own lines to send their own internet. They have to rely on the telephone lines that are left over, since nobody actually uses a home phone anymore. They have to use the telephone lines that are still up, that are being updated because nobody's using the phone anymore, but because they don't own the poles, and the poles are owned by, AT&T or whoever put them in, 100 years ago. Well, not 100, 50, 60 years ago. They still own the poles. They are the ones that can say who can put what up on them poles. So instead of saying, hey, you got your money out of these poles, now these poles are public commodity, anybody can put something up, they're still holding on to that local monopoly. Hey, look, I just fixed it, and it didn't cost $65 billion.
Right. But that's not what the FCC wants. FCC wants us to pay all that. They want all of it. I mean,
they want the control.
They want the control. They want the money. And all. The greatest thing about internet radio is the greatest say I've said. I think I've said this for 10 years or more. FCC, fuck you. FCC can't touch me. When we were on terrestrial radio, you had to work your mouth to where you weren't going to get fined. That is where things are just going to get weirder in the next year or so with this administration.
So little back history.
And this Build Back Better plan sucks ass.
So a little history for people. The reason that the FCC has such tight control over over-the-air television and radio is because in the 1930s, they came up with the idea that the radio waves are owned by the public. Therefore, that means owned by the government. And they're just allowing these stations to use those public radio waves. And since those radio waves go into your house and across state lines, and there's no stopping them, you don't invite them in, they just come in, therefore they can regulate that. When it comes to podcasting, stuff like this, it doesn't do any of that. You have to actually click on it knowing that we are explicit. We mark our podcast as explicit. You know that we're going to swear, sometimes a lot. And you invite us into your home or into your brain. So, what else do you got on this?
Man, well, you got what, 55 billion in water upgrade systems, 65 billion on the energy grid itself, 39 bill for public trans to repair and upgrade, 7.5 bill for the charging stations, and then 110 billion for roads and bridges.
So there's actual infrastructure, roads and bridges. Everything else is local.
There's your infrastructure of this $1 trillion bill. That's just like the top 5 or 6 things that they're spending on it. My thing is, where the
And-
fuck is all the other money going to go?
Well, and not only that, again, take a look at all the other stuff is basically local. It's local
Yeah.
stuff. Your water is local. Your busing, your public transportation, that's all local. You vote
Yeah.
on whether you want public transportation. We want public transportation, or the people in New York may want public transportation. Out here where I live in Michigan, we don't want public transportation. That's why everyone owns
Don't
cars.
need it.
We don't need it. We're too spread out. All right. So that's all. So basically what this is this is going to Democrat cities, Democrat areas. Amtrak is basically useless outside of going from Boston to Washington, D.C. That's it. And nobody rides it to begin with, outside of Joe Biden, who said that he rode it from Delaware.
No, he didn't.
That's what he said. That's what he claimed. Amtrak is useless. Yeah, they have trains in England, in Europe, in France, all of that. Well, you know what? You can fit the UK 3 times in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
The UK is basically the size of Alabama. So, that being the case, having a train system doesn't work here in the US. That's why we have flights. That's why we have cars. That's why a majority of people in the US own cars.
Yeah.
Outside of big Democrat cities like New York, like Los Angeles. Well, even in Los Angeles, they own it. Like basically New York, maybe some in Chicago, but and that's where all of this money is going to. $400 billion to welfare and health spending. What does that have to do with infrastructure? That's a different bill.
Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. And then a lot of them only voted on that because of the upcoming bill in the Senate. Joe Manchin, for the West Virginia senator, is the hero at this moment because he's already said that he's not going to vote on it.
Well, he's in a red state. He would have
No, he's not.
future.
West Virginia was it came out to be a blue state.
Not when,
Oh wait, no, it was a red state. He's a blue governor, but he's already talking about flipping. That's right. That's what I remember.
It's coal country. West Virginia is coal country.
Yeah, which they've already stated that they're running out of coal. How the fuck do you run out of coal? Did we finally deplete those mines? We have no coal?
I mean,
I don't know.
So, yeah, it was a big shit show. They basically put on a vote in the middle of the night. Nobody was able to watch it except for Ryan here.
No, they had it on PBS on YouTube. PBS or is it NPR? One of the two actually have them leaves the cameras running live in the House and in the Senate. So when they're in there, they just live feed. They don't fucking shut them off. So if you ever just want to sit there and watch them, you can. It's just fucking. It's just weird how they did it in the middle of the night, not during like when everybody was awake.
Well, they push everything that's bad through in the middle of the night. What do you remember what they did with
great.
the Obama
Everything happens bad at
infrastructure?
night.
And here's the thing. Obama did his own infrastructure, his omnibus infrastructure package, and he said we have shovel-ready jobs. Where were those shovel-ready jobs? That he said was going to add 2 million jobs to the U.S. economy. It didn't add any jobs to the U.S. economy. You have with this bill, they say that it's going to add 2 million jobs. Again, 2 million. They love that number. Yet, with also raising the taxes, the corporate taxes, it's going to actually, according to analysts, have a net loss of jobs.
Yeah. It's just these 4 years. I hope everybody's in for this fucking ride of shit show. So,
yeah.
All I can say is I really hope the other part of this bill doesn't pass.
if it does, I think they're going to have to do it on reconciliation, and which means that in order to pass, they're going to have a Vote-A-Rama. Have you ever watched one of them?
Yeah.
Where literally they take all 2,000 pages, split it up into each section, and everyone has to vote yes or no on each section. They can't just vote on the whole bill.
Yeah, that usually it's where it gets longer in the voting section, where they're going to vote on certain sections of each bill. I mean, the bill's over almost 3,000 pages long. It's like 2,000. No, it's just over 2,000 pages, which is big.
Double-sided, though. 2,000 double-sided.
Yeah. Okay, so total 4,000 pages. Who the fuck writes that all? I've never understood. Who the fuck is going to write a 4,000 page paper?
I never understood how they could do that. You know, I know that they have basically it's all special interest.
And think of all the trees they just killed. Think of all the trees they killed, fucking printing that bill off.
Mm-hmm. So
shame.
When this comes out, if you go to our webpage at firetalkradio.com, or if you go to our page on Podbean and Facebook, I will have a link to the actual bill, so that if you want to read all of them pages, you be my guest. So
nuts.
All right.
But
so let us go. Ryan, tell people how they get a hold of us, and I'll go ahead and land us.
Yeah, so you can check us out right on our website at firetalkradio.com. Contact us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Phone number is 814-380-9820. And on our contact page, we have a nice little button of where you can find us for your streaming needs. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube for updates. We usually do go. We are pre-recorded, but we're live every time we go on. We want to thank our sponsors of Riverside for allowing us to have such better rates on this to do our show.
And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the little bell button. That way you get notified when we go live. All right. And, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's take this in.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for riding our Fire Talk Amtrak. Today we weren't able to get up in the air. We were grounded. Evidently there was another bout of flu with all of our pilots, but because of all the subsidies that Amtrak is getting, we figured we'll just start shipping everybody over to them. Maybe get a little bit of use out of that. Unfortunately, Amtrak just goes in circles, doesn't actually go anywhere. So you guys are all going to be ending up exactly where we started off. And with that, don't forget to thank and tip your stewardess and the people take you today. And evening. Goodbye.
We can only count to 4. We can only count to